I'm really happy you're here today. Before we begin, I want you to take a slow, comfortable breath. There is nothing you need to memorize. There is nothing you need to rush through. And there is absolutely no pressure to speak perfect English. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes English learners make is believing they need to sound perfect before they can sound natural. But that's not how real communication works. Native speakers don't spend every conversation searching for perfect grammar. They focus on connecting. They focus on expressing ideas. They focus on being understood. And today, that's exactly what we're going to practice together. Maybe you already know hundreds of English words. Maybe you've studied English for years. But when someone suddenly asks you a simple question, you freeze. Your mind goes blank. You know the words, but the sentence doesn't come. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And that's why this lesson is different. Today, we're going to practice the kind of English that people actually use every day. The kind of English you hear in apartments, coffee shops, offices, grocery stores, and casual conversations. By the end of this lesson, you'll have several natural phrases that you can start using immediately. Not someday, not next year, today. And if you enjoy learning English this way, through real situations and natural conversation, I'd love for you to stay with us here at Relaxing English Listening. We have many more lessons waiting for you. For now, just relax and let the language come to you naturally. Imagine it's early morning. The sun hasn't fully risen yet. The room is quiet. The alarm on your phone rings. You reach over and turn it off. For a moment, you stare at the ceiling. You know you need to get up. But honestly, you're not quite ready. And this is where many English learners say something like, "I am tired." That's correct. English. But native speakers often use something a little more natural. Listen carefully. I'm still waking up. Repeat after me slowly. I'm still waking up. Again. I'm still waking up. One more time. I'm still waking up. Excellent. This phrase is extremely common. It doesn't mean you just opened your eyes. It means your body and mind haven't fully started the day yet. Imagine your roommate walks into the kitchen. They see you standing there, looking sleepy. They smile and ask, "You okay?" You laugh and answer, "I'm still waking up." Can you hear how natural that sounds? Let's make it even more natural. Imagine your roommate replies, "Yeah. Me too." Now listen to the rhythm. I'm still waking up. Yeah. Me too. Very simple. Very real. Now let's take it one step further. Imagine you walk into the kitchen. You open the refrigerator. You look around. Nothing looks exciting. You yawn. And suddenly, one thought enters your mind. Coffee. You don't just want coffee. You need coffee. But native speakers often don't say, "I need coffee." Instead, they say, "I could use some coffee." Listen carefully. I could use some coffee. Repeat after me slowly. I could use some coffee. Again. I could use some coffee. Now say it naturally. I could use some coffee. Excellent. This phrase is everywhere. You'll hear it in offices, coffee shops, road trips, airports, family gatherings, any place where people are feeling tired. Notice something interesting. Most learners never learn this phrase. They learn, "I need coffee." But native speakers often choose, "I could use some coffee." It sounds softer, friendlier, more conversational. Imagine, your roommate asks, "Want some coffee?" You smile and say, I could use some coffee. Perfect. Natural. Useful. And this is exactly the kind of phrase that makes your English sound more authentic. As the coffee machine begins working, the smell slowly fills the kitchen. You take a deep breath. Already, you feel a little better. Then, you glance at the clock. And suddenly, you realize something. You're later than you thought. You check your phone. You check the time again. And you quietly say, I'm running a little late. Listen carefully. I'm running a little late. Repeat after me. I'm running a little late. Again. I'm running a little late. Now naturally. I'm running a little late. Excellent. This next phrase is something you'll hear every single day. Native speakers use it constantly. Notice that they rarely say, I am late. Instead, they often say, I'm running late. Let's compare them. I am late. I'm running late. Which one sounds more conversational? The second one. Let's practice. I'm running late. Again. I'm running late. Excellent. Imagine you're getting dressed. Looking for your keys? Trying to find your headphones. Your roommate asks, Everything okay? You answer, Yeah. I'm just running a little late. That sounds exactly like real life. And that's our goal. Not textbook English. Real English. As you continue getting ready, another useful phrase appears. You're looking for something. Maybe your wallet. Maybe your phone charger. Maybe your work badge. You search the kitchen, the bedroom, the living room. Then you stop and say, Where did I put it? Listen carefully. Where did I put it? Repeat after me. Where did I put it? Again. Where did I put it? Now, naturally. Where did I put it? Excellent. This is one of those phrases native speakers use without even thinking. Not once a month. Not once a week. Sometimes, every day. Let's create a quick conversation. Roommate. What are you looking for? You. My keys. Roommate. Where did you see them last? You. I don't know. Where did I put them? Very natural. Very common. As you finally find your keys, you feel relieved. You grab your bag, head toward the door, and then your roommate says, Have a good day. You smile and answer, You too. Listen carefully. You too. Repeat after me. You too. Again. You too. Now naturally. You too. Excellent. This tiny phrase is everywhere. It's short, in the simple, but extremely useful. Have a good day. You too. Have a great weekend. You too. Take care. You too. Native speakers use it constantly because it's fast and friendly. Now let's do a quick shadowing practice. Repeat after me. I'm still waking up. I could use some coffee. I'm running a little late. Where did I put it? You too. Again. I'm still waking up. I could use some coffee. I'm running a little late. Where did I put it? You too. Excellent. Can you feel something happening? You're not just learning phrases. You're starting to experience them. You're imagining situations, people, conversations. And that's important. Because your brain remembers experiences better than vocabulary lists. Every small sentence you repeat is training your brain to think in English. Not translate. Think? That's a huge difference. Many learners spend years translating. But fluent speakers don't translate. They connect situations, directly to language. And that's exactly what we're building today. Take a moment and think about your own morning. What happened today? Did you wake up tired? Did you drink coffee? Were you running late? Did you lose something? Try answering in English. Just one sentence. Any sentence. Maybe. I'm still waking up. Maybe. I could use some coffee. Maybe. I'm running a little late today. Take a few seconds. Say it quietly. Excellent. That's real practice. That's how fluency grows. One small sentence at a time. The morning is only beginning. The city outside is waking up. People are leaving their homes. Shops are opening. Coffee machines are working overtime. And in just a moment, you'll step into another very common situation. A place where native speakers use dozens of short, useful phrases every single day. A place where many English learners feel nervous at first. But after today, you'll feel much more comfortable. Let's continue our day with a fresh cup of coffee and a real conversation. You step outside and close the door behind you. The morning air feels cool and refreshing. The city is fully awake now. Cars move through the streets. People hurry toward offices. Cyclists pass by. Coffee shops are busy. The day has officially begun. As you walk down the sidewalk, you notice something. The coffee you had at home helped, but not enough. And suddenly, the smell of fresh bread and coffee drifts through the air. You look up. There's a small cafe and bakery on the corner. Warm lights shine through the windows. People sit inside, talking quietly. Some are reading. Some are working on laptops. Others are simply enjoying breakfast before starting their day. Without thinking too much about it, you decide to go in. As you open the door, a friendly employee standing behind the counter smiles. Good morning. You smile back. Good morning. And just like that, another everyday English conversation begins. For many English learners, ordering food feels stressful. Maybe you're afraid someone will speak too fast. Maybe you're worried you'll forget a word. Maybe you're afraid of making a mistake. But the truth is, something very important. Most ordering conversations are surprisingly simple. Native speakers use the same phrases over and over again. Once you learn them, you'll hear them everywhere. Imagine you're standing at the counter. You look at the menu. The cashier smiles and asks, "What can I get for you today?" Listen carefully. What can I get for you today? You don't need a complicated answer. One of the most natural responses is, could I get? Listen carefully. Could I get? Repeat after me. Could I get? Again. Could I get? Now, naturally. Could I get? Excellent. This phrase is one of the most useful phrases in spoken English. You can use it in cafes, restaurants, airports, hotels, stores, almost anywhere. Imagine you want a coffee and a sandwich. You smile and say, "Could I get a coffee and a breakfast sandwich? Please." Listen again. Could I get a coffee and a breakfast sandwich? Please. Now repeat. Could I get a coffee and a breakfast sandwich? Please. Excellent. Notice how polite and natural it sounds. Native speakers use this structure constantly. Now let's continue the conversation. The cashier nods. Sure. Then asks, what size would you like? Maybe you're not completely sure. You look at the menu. You think for a second. Then you answer, I'll take a medium. Listen carefully. I'll take a medium. Repeat after me. I'll take a medium. Again. I'll take a medium. Excellent. Native speakers often use I'll take when choosing something. Let's practice. I'll take the chicken sandwich. I'll take a medium coffee. I'll take the blueberry muffin. Very natural. Very common. Now imagine something unexpected happens. The cafe is busy. There is noise in the background. The coffee machine is loud. The cashier thinks, you said, blueberry muffin. But actually you said, banana muffin. The cashier repeats, one blueberry muffin. You look surprised. This situation happens all the time. Native speakers don't panic. They simply say, actually, I said. Listen carefully. Actually, I said. Repeat after me. Actually, I said. Again. Actually, I said. Excellent. This phrase is incredibly useful. Imagine the conversation. Cashier. One blueberry muffin. You. Actually, I said, banana muffin. Cashier. Oh. Sorry about that. You. No worries. Notice how calm and natural the conversation sounds. Many learners think mistakes create problems. But in real life, misunderstandings happen constantly. Even between native speakers. The important thing is knowing how to respond. Let's practice another example. Cashier. Large coffee. You. Actually, I said medium. Very simple. Very useful. Now your order is correct. The cashier enters everything into the register. Then asks another question you'll hear everywhere. Anything else? Listen carefully. Anything else? Repeat after me. Anything else? Again. Anything else? One more time. Anything else? Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in customer service situations. Restaurants. Stores. Coffee shops. Hotels. Airports. Everywhere. And the most natural response is, that's all for now. Listen carefully. That's all for now. Repeat after me. That's all for now. Again. That's all for now. Excellent. Let's hear the conversation. Cashier. Anything else? You. No thanks. That's all for now. Natural. Polita. Simple. Now the cashier smiles. Sounds good. Listen carefully. Sounds good. Repeat after me. Sounds good. Again. Sounds good. Excellent. This tiny phrase appears thousands of times every day in English. Someone suggests a plan. Sounds good. Someone confirms an order. Sounds good. Someone recommends something. Sounds good. It's one of the most useful conversational phrases you can learn. Now imagine you're waiting for your order. You step aside and find a place near the window. The cafe is busy. People are coming and going. A few minutes later, another customer sits nearby. They're waiting too. They smile politely. Then say, looks like everyone needed coffee this morning. You laugh. And answer, yeah. I could definitely use another cup. Listen carefully. I could definitely use another cup. Repeat after me. I could definitely use another cup. Again. I could definitely use another cup. Excellent. Notice how naturally it connects to the phrase you learned earlier. I could use some coffee. Now you're expanding the same idea. This is how fluency develops. Not by learning completely new structures every time, but by building on structures you already know. The customer laughs. Then says, it's one of those mornings. Listen carefully. It's one of those mornings. Repeat after me. It's one of those mornings. Again. It's one of those mornings. Excellent. Native speakers use this phrase when things feel slightly difficult, chaotic, or exhausting. Imagine you overslept, lost your keys, spilled your coffee, and missed your bus. You might simply smile and say, "It's one of those mornings." This phrase instantly creates connection. People understand exactly how you feel. Now your name is called. Your breakfast is ready. You walk toward the counter. The employee hands you your order and says, "Here you go." Listen carefully. Here you go. Repeat after me. Here you go. Again. Here you go. Excellent. This is one of the most common phrases in English. Someone gives you something. Here you go. A receipt. A coffee. A document. A ticket. Anything. The natural response is, "Thank you." Or, "Thanks. I appreciate it." Listen carefully. I appreciate it. Repeat after me. I appreciate it. Again. I appreciate it. Excellent. This phrase sounds warm and sincere. A little more personal than simply saying thank you. Now you find a seat and finally take your first sip of coffee. It's hot. Fresh. Exactly what you needed. You smile and quietly say, "That's better." Listen carefully. That's better. Repeat after me. That's better. Again. That's better. Excellent. Such a simple phrase. But native speakers use it constantly. After solving a problem. After sitting down. After drinking coffee. After fixing something. That's better. You relax for a moment. Look around the cafe. And realize something. You just completed an entire real-world English interaction. You ordered. You corrected a misunderstanding. You answered questions. You made small talk. And none of it required complicated grammar. That's an important lesson. Fluent English isn't always advanced English. Often, it's simple. English used confidently. Before we continue, let's do a quick shadowing review. Repeat after me. Could I get? I'll take. Actually. I said. Anything else? That's all for now. Sounds good. It's one of those mornings. Here you go. I appreciate it. That's better. Excellent. Listen to how natural those phrases sound. These are not textbook phrases. These are real-life phrases. The kind people use every single day. And as you finish your breakfast and prepare to leave the cafe, another part of the day is about to begin. The workday. New conversations. New people. New opportunities to use English naturally. Let's keep going. You finish the last sip of coffee. The cup is empty. The breakfast rush inside the cafe continues around you. People are still arriving. Orders are being called out. Conversations blend together with the sound of espresso machines and dishes clinking softly in the background. For a moment, you sit quietly and enjoy the feeling. You're awake now. More focused. More ready for the day. Eventually, you stand up, throw away your napkin, and head toward the door. Outside, the streets are busier than before. The workday is officially underway. People move with purpose. Some are carrying briefcases. Some are checking their phones while walking. Others are rushing toward office buildings. You join the flow of people and continue toward work. A few minutes later, you arrive at your office building. Or perhaps your workplace. Maybe it's a company. Maybe it's a co-working space. Maybe it's a university. The exact place doesn't matter. What matters is what happens next. Because, before meetings begin, before projects start, before emails take over the day, there is a special kind of conversation that happens almost everywhere. Small talk. For many English learners, small talk feels difficult, not because it's complicated, but because it's unpredictable. Nobody gives you a script. Nobody tells you exactly what to say. And yet native speakers do it constantly. The good news is that most workplace small talk follows very familiar patterns. Once you learn those patterns, you'll start hearing them everywhere. Imagine you walk into the lobby. The elevator doors open. You step inside. A coworker is already there. They smile politely. Then ask, "How's your morning going?" Listen carefully. "How's your morning going?" Repeat after me. "How's your morning going?" Again. "How's your morning going?" Now, naturally. "How's your morning going?" Excellent. This is an extremely common workplace question. Notice that they didn't ask, "How are you this morning?" That's perfectly correct English. But native speakers often prefer, "How's your morning going?" It feels more relaxed, more conversational. Now imagine you're answering. Many learners immediately say, "I'm fine." And that's okay. But native speakers often use more natural responses. One very common answer is, "Not too bad." Listen carefully. "Not too bad." Repeat after me. "Not too bad." Again. "Not too bad." Now, naturally. "Not too bad." Excellent. This phrase is everywhere. It doesn't mean your morning is bad. It actually means things are pretty good. Let's practice. "How's your morning going?" "Not too bad." Again. "How's your morning going?" "Not too bad." Excellent. Simple. Natural. Very common. The elevator arrives. You and your coworker step out. As you walk toward your desks, they ask another question. "Busy already?" Listen carefully. "Busy already?" Repeat after me. "Busy already?" Again. "Busy already?" Excellent. Notice something interesting. This isn't a complete sentence. The full sentence would be, "Are you busy already?" But native speakers often shorten questions, especially during casual conversations. "Busy already?" "Long day?" "Big plans?" "Good weekend?" This kind of shortening makes English sound more natural. Now imagine your response. You smile and say, "Pretty busy already." Listen carefully. "Pretty busy already?" Repeat after me. "Pretty busy already?" Again. "Pretty busy already?" Excellent. Very natural. Very common. And notice the word pretty. Native speakers use it constantly. Pretty busy. Pretty good. Pretty tired. Pretty excited. It's one of the most useful conversational words in English. Now imagine another coworker joins the conversation. They place their bag on the desk and say, "Same as always." Listen carefully. "Same as always." Repeat after me. "Same as always." Again. "Same as always." Excellent. This phrase means exactly what it sounds like. Nothing unusual. Nothing surprising. Everything feels familiar. Let's hear it naturally. "How's work?" Same as always. "How's your schedule?" Same as always. "How's the commute?" Same as always. Very conversational. Now the conversation continues. One coworker asks, "How was your weekend?" You think for a moment. Maybe it wasn't particularly exciting. Maybe you relaxed at home. Maybe you ran errands. Maybe you watched movies. Instead of giving a long explanation, you simply say, can't complain. Listen carefully. Can't complain. Repeat after me. Can't complain. Again. Can't complain. Excellent. This phrase is one of the most useful responses in everyday English. Native speakers use it constantly. It means, things are okay. Life is pretty good. Nothing major to complain about. Let's practice. How's everything going? Can't complain. How's work? Can't complain. How's life? Can't complain. Excellent. Notice how easy these conversations are becoming. They're built from short phrases, simpler responses, natural rhythm. That's exactly how real workplace small talk works. Now imagine everyone settles into their desks. Computers turn on. People check their calendars. Coffee cups sit beside keyboards. The day begins moving forward. But before work completely takes over, one coworker walks over and says, "Did you do anything fun this weekend?" Listen carefully. Anything fun? Repeat after me. Anything fun? Again. Anything fun? Excellent. This question appears everywhere. And here's a very natural response. A little bit. Listen carefully. A little bit. Repeat after me. A little bit. Again. A little bit. Excellent. Let's hear the conversation. Coworker. Did you do anything fun this weekend? You. A little bit. Coworker. Like what? You. I met some friends and relaxed. Simple. Natural. Comfortable. Now imagine another coworker overhears the conversation. They laugh and say, "That sounds nice." Listen carefully. That sounds nice. Repeat after me. That sounds nice. Again. That sounds nice. Excellent. Notice how often native speakers respond this way. That sounds nice. That sounds fun. That sounds great. That sounds interesting. Instead of directly giving opinions, they often react using that sounds. This pattern appears constantly in conversational English. Let's practice. That sounds nice. That sounds interesting. That sounds fun. Excellent. Now, let's build a complete workplace conversation. Listen carefully. Coworker. Morning. You. Morning. Coworker. How's your morning going? You. Not too bad. Coworker. Busy already. You. Pretty busy already. Coworker. Same as always. You laugh. Pretty much. Coworker. How was your weekend? You. Can't complain. Coworker. Did you do anything fun? You. A little bit. Coworker. That sounds nice. Can you hear how natural this conversation sounds? Nothing complicated. Nothing advanced. Yet this is exactly the type of English native speakers use every day. And here's something important. Most learners spend years studying grammar structures they rarely use. Meanwhile, these tiny phrases appear hundreds of times every week. That's why they're worth practicing. Take a moment now. Imagine yourself arriving at work tomorrow. Someone asks, "How's your morning going?" What would you say? Maybe. Not too bad. Maybe. Pretty busy already. Maybe. Can't complain. Choose one answer. Say it quietly. Excellent. You're not memorizing. You're preparing. You're building automatic responses. And automatic responses are one of the secrets of fluent conversation. Because when someone asks a simple question, you don't want to spend 10 seconds translating. You want the answer to come naturally. That's exactly what we're training. Let's do a quick shadowing exercise together. Repeat after me. How's your morning going? Not too bad. Busy already. Pretty busy already. Same as always. Can't complain. Anything fun? A little bit. That sounds nice. Again. How's your morning going? Not too bad. Busy already. Pretty busy already. Same as always. Can't complain. Anything fun? A little bit. That sounds nice. Excellent. Listen to how natural those phrases feel. You're learning the language of real conversations. The language people use in hallways, elevators, break rooms, offices, everyday life. And just as the morning settles into a normal routine, something unexpected is about to happen. A message arrives. A problem appears. A plan suddenly changes. And with it comes a completely different set of English phrases that native speakers use whenever things don't go exactly as expected. Let's see what happens next. The morning continues. The office slowly settles into its usual rhythm. Keyboards click. Coffee cups sit beside computer screens. Emails arrive one after another. Conversations become quieter as everyone focuses on their work. For a while, everything feels normal, predictable, comfortable. You open a document, reply to a few emails, check your calendar. Everything seems to be going according to plan. Then something happens. Because real life rarely follows a perfect schedule. And when things go wrong, native speakers use a completely different set of phrases. Phrases that help them stay calm. Phrases that help them solve problems. Phrases that you'll hear every day in workplaces all over the world. Imagine you're working on an important project. You've been focused for nearly an hour. Progress is good. Everything is moving smoothly. Then your computer suddenly freezes. You click your mouse. Nothing happens. You press a key. Still nothing. You wait. The screen doesn't move. And almost immediately, you say, "Oh no." Listen carefully. Oh no. Repeat after me. Oh no. Again. Oh no. Excellent. In simple, short, natural. Native speakers use this tiny reaction constantly. Not because it's advanced. Because it's real. Now imagine a coworker notices your expression. They walk over and ask, "Everything okay?" Listen carefully. Everything okay? Repeat after me. Everything okay? Again. Everything okay? Excellent. Notice how casual this sounds. Not. Is everything okay? Just. Everything okay? Native speakers often shorten questions like this during conversations. Now imagine your answer. You glance at your screen and say, "Something came up." Listen carefully. Something came up. Repeat after me. Something came up. Again. Something came up. Excellent. This phrase is incredibly useful. And native speakers use it everywhere. At work, at home, with friends, with family. It simply means, an unexpected problem appeared. Something unexpected happened. Let's practice. Why can't you come? Something came up. Why is the meeting delayed? Something came up. Why are you running late? Something came up. Very natural. Very common. Now imagine your coworker looks at the screen. They immediately understand the situation. They nod and say, "That's frustrating." Listen carefully. That's frustrating. Repeat after me. That's frustrating. Again. That's frustrating. Excellent. This phrase shows empathy. It means, I understand why you're annoyed. I understand why you're stressed. Let's practice. The printer stopped working. That's frustrating. The internet is down. That's frustrating. The file disappeared. That's frustrating. Excellent. Notice how native speakers often acknowledge emotions before trying to solve problems. That makes conversations feel more human. Now imagine your coworker sits beside you and says, "Let me check." Listen carefully. Let me check. Repeat after me. Let me check. Again. Let me check. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in professional English. Someone asks a question. Let me check. Someone needs information. Let me check. Someone reports a problem. Let me check. It's one of the most practical phrases you can learn. Now imagine your coworker starts looking at the screen. They click a few buttons. Open a few windows. A moment pass. Then they smile. I think I found it. Listen carefully. I think I found it. Repeat after me. I think I found it. Again. I think I found it. Excellent. Notice how natural that sounds. Native speakers often use I think when they aren't completely certain. It's softer and more conversational. Now imagine another problem appears. The project isn't frozen anymore, but a meeting is supposed to start in 10 minutes. And someone suddenly notices an important file is missing. The room becomes slightly quieter. People exchange looks. Nobody is panicking. But everyone knows the situation isn't ideal. A manager walks into the room. Someone explains the issue. The manager listens carefully. Then says, "No worries." Listen carefully. No worries. Repeat after me. No worries. Again. No worries. Excellent. You've heard this phrase before, but now you're hearing it in a workplace situation. That's important. Real phrases work in many different environments. No worries can mean, don't panic. It's okay. We'll handle it. Now the manager continues. We'll figure it out. Listen carefully. We'll figure it out. Repeat after me. We'll figure it out. Again. We'll figure it out. Excellent. This is one of the most useful problem-solving phrases in English. Notice what it communicates. Confidence. Calmness. Optimism. Not, we know exactly what to do. But, we'll find a solution. Let's practice. The schedule changed. We'll figure it out. The file is missing. We'll figure it out. The meeting moved earlier. We'll figure it out. Excellent. Now imagine everyone starts working together. One person searches through folders. Another checks emails. Someone calls a client. Little by little, progress is made. Then one coworker suddenly says, "Found it." Listen carefully. Found it. Repeat after me. Found it. Again. Found it. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in everyday life. Looking for your phone. Found it. Looking for your keys. Found it. Looking for an important document. Found it. Short. Simple. Natural. Now imagine the room immediately feels lighter. People smile. The tension disappears. And someone says, "That's a relief." Listen carefully. That's a relief. Repeat after me. That's a relief. Again. That's a relief. Excellent. Native speakers use this phrase whenever a stressful situation ends successfully. Let's practice. The test is over. That's a relief. The project is finished. That's a relief. The missing file was found. That's a relief. Very common. Very useful. Now imagine the meeting finally begins. Everyone settles down. The manager smiles and says, "Thanks for being flexible." Listen carefully. Thanks for being flexible. Repeat after me. Thanks for being flexible. Again. Thanks for being flexible. Excellent. This phrase appears frequently in professional environments. It means, thank you for adapting. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for handling the change. Now let's build a complete workplace scene. Listen carefully. You are working quietly. Suddenly, your computer freezes. You sigh. Oh no. A coworker notices. Everything okay? You reply. Something came up. The coworker walks over. They look at the screen. That's frustrating. You nod. Yeah. The coworker says, "Let me check." A few minutes later, "I think I found it." Then, someone notices another issue. The meeting file is missing. The manager walks in. People explain the problem. The manager smiles. No worries. Everyone looks relieved. The manager continues. We'll figure it out. Several minutes later, someone suddenly says, "Found it." The room relaxes. That's a relief. The meeting begins. The manager smiles. Thanks for being flexible. Can you hear how natural that conversation sounds? This is workplace English. Not formal textbook English. Not complicated business English. Just real people solving real problems. And that's exactly why these phrases matter. Because life is full of unexpected situations. The more natural your responses become, the more confident you'll feel. Take a moment now. Think about a recent problem you experienced. Maybe your internet stopped working. Maybe you misplaced something. Maybe a plan suddenly changed. Which phrase feels most useful? Maybe. Something came up. Maybe. That's frustrating. Maybe. We'll figure it out. Maybe. That's a relief. Choose one. Say it quietly. Excellent. You're training your brain to connect language with real experiences. That's where fluency begins. Not memorization. Connection. Let's do one final shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. Something came up. That's frustrating. Let me check. I think I found it. No worries. We'll figure it out. Found it. That's a relief. Thanks for being flexible. Again. Something came up. That's frustrating. Let me check. I think I found it. No worries. We'll figure it out. Found it. That's a relief. Thanks for being flexible. Excellent. Listen to how practical those phrases are. These aren't phrases you'll use once. You'll use them hundreds of times. At work. At home. In daily life. And now that the problem has been solved, the atmosphere changes again. The tension disappears. People begin smiling. The clock moves closer to lunchtime. Work becomes less urgent. Conversations become more relaxed. And in the next part, you'll step into one of the most social moments of the day, where native speakers use simple, friendly English to build relationships and connect with the people around them. It's time for lunch. The meeting is over. The missing file has been found. The problem that seemed important an hour ago is now just another small story from the workday. People return to their desks. The atmosphere feels lighter, more relaxed. The tension that filled the room has disappeared. You answer a few emails. Finish a small task. Take a sip of water. Then you notice something. People are starting to look at the clock. The morning has moved quickly. Without realizing it, lunchtime has arrived. Across the office, chairs begin moving. Computer screens are locked. Coffee cups are picked up. Someone stretches. Another person grabs a jacket. The energy changes. Work conversations slowly transform into personal conversations. And this is where some of the most useful English in daily life appears. Not business English. Not presentation English. Just people talking. People connecting. People building relationships. Imagine you're walking toward a nearby food court with a few coworkers. The weather is nice. The pressure of the morning is gone. Everyone seems more relaxed. As you sit down with your lunch, one coworker smiles and asks, "So, what have you been up to lately?" Listen carefully. What have you been up to lately? Repeat after me. What have you been up to lately? Again. What have you been up to lately? Excellent. This phrase is one of the most common small talk questions in English. It doesn't mean, "What are you doing right now?" It means, "What's new in your life? What's been happening recently?" Let's practice. What have you been up to lately? Again. What have you been up to lately? Excellent. Now imagine you're answering. Maybe nothing particularly exciting has happened. Maybe you've just been working. Maybe you've been following your normal routine. A very natural response is, "Not much." Listen carefully. Not much. Repeat after me. Not much. Again. Not much. Excellent. Simple. Natural. Very common. Let's hear it in conversation. Coworker. What have you been up to lately? You. Not much. Very easy. But native speakers use this response constantly. Now imagine the coworker smiles. Really? You laugh. Yeah. Pretty much just work. Listen carefully. Pretty much. Repeat after me. Pretty much. Again. Pretty much. Excellent. This phrase is everywhere in conversational English. It means mostly, almost completely, more or less. Let's practice. Have you been busy? Pretty much. Did you stay home all weekend? Pretty much. Was the meeting successful? Pretty much. Excellent. Notice how often native speakers choose short responses. Conversation is usually simpler than learners expect. Now imagine another coworker joins the table. They sit down with their lunch and immediately say, "Same old. Same old." Listen carefully. Same old. Same old. Repeat after me. Same old. Same old. Again. Same old. Same old. Excellent. This phrase means nothing new. Everything is the same as usual. Let's hear it naturally. How have things been? Same old. Same old. How's work? Same old. Same old. How's life? Same old. Same old. Very conversational. Very common. Now imagine the group starts talking about weekends. One coworker says they spent the weekend hiking. Another visited family. Someone else stayed home and watched movies. Then the conversation turns to you. What did you do? You think for a moment. Maybe your weekend wasn't particularly exciting. Maybe you cleaned your apartment, went grocery shopping, caught up on errands. You smile and say, "Nothing too exciting." Listen carefully. Nothing too exciting. Repeat after me. Nothing too exciting. Again. Nothing too exciting. Excellent. This phrase is extremely useful. Native speakers often use it when describing ordinary experiences. Let's practice. How was your weekend? Nothing too exciting. What did you do? Nothing too exciting. Simple. Natural. Comfortable. Now imagine one coworker laughs and says, "Honestly, that sounds perfect." Listen carefully. That sounds perfect. Repeat after me. That sounds perfect. Again. That sounds perfect. Excellent. Notice how this connects to a phrase you've already learned. That sounds nice. That sounds fun. That sounds perfect. The pattern stays the same. That's one reason English becomes easier over time. You begin recognizing familiar patterns. Now the conversation continues. People begin talking about future plans. One coworker asks, "Any big plans for this weekend?" Listen carefully. Any big plans? Repeat after me. Any big plans? Again. Any big plans? Excellent. Notice again how native speakers shorten questions. The full version would be, "Do you have any big plans for this weekend?" But in conversation, any big plans? Short, efficient, natural. Now imagine your answer. Maybe you're not sure yet. Maybe you haven't decided. A perfect response is, "I'll see." Listen carefully. I'll see. Repeat after me. I'll see. Again. I'll see. Excellent. This tiny phrase is extremely common. It means, "I haven't decided yet. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out later." Let's practice. Are you going? I'll see. Will you join us? I'll see. Excellent. Now imagine the conversation becomes slightly more personal. One coworker mentions feeling tired lately. Another talks about balancing work and personal life. Then someone asks, "How are you holding up?" Listen carefully. How are you holding up? Repeat after me. How are you holding up? Again. How are you holding up? Excellent. This question is different from, "How are you?" It's often used when life feels busy or stressful. When someone wants to check on you, a very natural response might be, "Doing my best." Listen carefully. Doing my best. Repeat after me. Doing my best. Again. Doing my best. Excellent. This phrase carries honesty, effort, determination, and native speakers use it often. Let's practice. How are you holding up? Doing my best. Again. How are you holding up? Doing my best. Excellent. Now imagine the group becomes quiet for a moment. Everyone nods. Because they understand exactly what you mean. Work can be challenging. Life can be busy. Sometimes doing your best is enough. And that simple moment creates something important. Connection. That's what small talk often becomes. People think small talk is meaningless. But small talk builds trust, friendship, comfort, relationships. That's why it matters. Now let's build a complete lunch conversation. Listen carefully. Coworker. What have you been up to lately? You. Not much. Coworker. Busy. You. Pretty much. Another coworker sits down. Same old. Same old. Everyone laughs. Coworker. What did you do this weekend? You. Nothing too exciting. Coworker. Honestly, that sounds perfect. You smile. Maybe. Coworker, any big plans this weekend? You, I'll see. A few moments later. Coworker, how are you holding up? You think for a second. Then answer. Doing my best. The group nods. The conversation continues. Simple. Natural. Real. Can you hear how comfortable this sounds? No advanced vocabulary. No complicated grammar. Just people talking. And that's exactly the kind of English native speakers use every day. Take a moment now. Imagine you're sitting at that lunch table. Someone asks, "What have you been up to lately?" What would you answer? Maybe. Not much. Maybe. Pretty much work. Maybe. Same old. Same old. Maybe. Doing my best. Choose one answer. Say it quietly. Excellent. You're practicing something important. Not translation. Not memorization. Conversation. Real conversation. Let's finish with a quick shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. What have you been up to lately? Not much. Pretty much. Same old. Same old. Nothing too exciting. That sounds perfect. Any big plans? I'll see. How are you holding up? Doing my best. Again. What have you been up to lately? Not much. Pretty much. Same old. Same old. Nothing too exciting. That sounds perfect. Any big plans? I'll see. How are you holding up? Doing my best. Excellent. Those are the kinds of phrases that appear every day in lunchrooms, cafes, offices, and social gatherings. And the more often you hear them, the more natural they become. The lunch break is slowly coming to an end now. People begin throwing away napkins, finishing drinks, standing up from their chairs. Soon everyone will head back to work. But before you return to the office, something unexpected is about to happen. A simple errand, a short walk, and a conversation with a complete stranger that introduces another group of useful English phrases you'll hear all over the world. Let's see where the afternoon takes us next. The lunch break is coming to an end. People begin standing up from their tables. Empty cups are thrown away. Conversations slowly fade. Coworkers gather their things and prepare to return to work. You do the same. But before heading back to the office, you remember something. There is a small store a few blocks away. You need to pick up something important. Maybe a charger. Maybe a notebook. Maybe a gift for someone. It won't take long. Just a quick stop before the afternoon begins. You leave the food court and step outside. The city feels different now. The morning rush is over. The streets are still busy. But the pace is slower. People walk calmly. Shops are open. The afternoon sun shines between tall buildings. You check your phone for directions. Then suddenly realize something. Your battery is almost dead. 1%. You look at the screen. Then it goes black. The phone dies. You stop walking. For a moment. You're not completely sure where to go. You look around. The streets seem familiar. But not familiar enough. And suddenly, you find yourself in one of the most common situations in everyday life. You need help. Fortunately, this situation creates some of the most useful English phrases you'll ever learn. Imagine you see someone walking nearby. They seem friendly. You decide to ask for help. The first phrase is extremely important. Listen carefully. Excuse me. Repeat after me. Excuse me. Again. Excuse me. One more time. Excuse me. Excellent. This phrase is one of the most useful expressions in English. Native speakers use it constantly. When asking questions, when getting someone's attention, when passing through a crowd, when interrupting politely. Excuse me. Simple. Powerful. Essential. Now imagine the person turns toward you. They smile. And wait. You continue. Could you help me? Listen carefully. Could you help me? Repeat after me. Could you help me? Again. Could you help me? Now naturally. Could you help me? Excellent. This phrase immediately sounds polite, friendly, respectful. Let's practice. Could you help me? Again. Could you help me? Excellent. Imagine the stranger smiles and says, Sure. Now you explain your situation. I'm looking for a bookstore. Listen carefully. I'm looking for. Repeat after me. I'm looking for. Again. I'm looking for. Excellent. This structure is incredibly useful. You can use it almost anywhere. I'm looking for a hotel. I'm looking for a pharmacy. I'm looking for a coffee shop. I'm looking for the train station. Very natural. Very common. Let's hear the conversation. Excuse me. Could you help me? Sure. I'm looking for a bookstore. Perfect. Now imagine the stranger points down the street. They smile and say, You're almost there. Listen carefully. You're almost there. Repeat after me. You're almost there. Again. You're almost there. Excellent. This phrase is wonderful. And you'll hear it in many situations. Travel. Exercise. Work. Learning. Any situation involving progress. You're almost there. It means, keep going. You're close. Let's practice. You're almost there. Again. You're almost there. Excellent. Notice something interesting. This phrase could apply to your English too. You're almost there. Every lesson. Every conversation. Every phrase. You're getting closer. Now imagine the stranger continues. Go straight for 2 blocks. Then turn left. You listen carefully. You understand most of it. But not everything. And that's okay. Because native speakers have a phrase for that too. Listen carefully. Sorry. Could you repeat that? Repeat after me. Sorry. Could you repeat that? Again. Sorry. Could you repeat that? Excellent. This phrase is incredibly important. Many learners become nervous when they don't understand. But native speakers ask for repetition all the time. Even native speakers ask other native speakers to repeat things. Let's practice. Sorry. Could you repeat that? Again. Sorry. Could you repeat that? Excellent. Now imagine the stranger repeats the directions more slowly. This time, everything makes sense. And naturally, you respond. Got it. Listen carefully. Got it. Repeat after me. Got it. Again. Got it. Excellent. This tiny phrase appears everywhere. It means, I understand. I understand now. Let's practice. Turn left at the corner. Got it. Meet me at 6. Got it. Send the file tomorrow. Got it. Very natural. Very common. Now imagine you're ready to leave. The stranger has helped you. The conversation is ending. This is where another important phrase appears. Thanks. I appreciate it. Listen carefully. I appreciate it. Repeat after me. I appreciate it. Again. I appreciate it. Excellent. You've heard this phrase before, but now it's appearing in a completely different context. That's exactly how language works. The same phrase becomes useful in many situations. Now imagine you begin walking again. You follow the directions. 2 blocks. Then left. Just as the stranger described. And suddenly, you see the bookstore. You smile. The directions worked perfectly. Without thinking, you quietly say, "There it is." Listen carefully. "There it is." Repeat after me. "There it is." Again. "There it is." Excellent. Native speakers use this phrase constantly. Looking for a building? There it is. Looking for your keys? There they are. Looking for your coffee? There it is. Simple. Natural. Very useful. Now imagine you enter the bookstore. The air is cool. Quiet music plays softly. You find the item you needed. The errand is complete. And for a moment, you reflect on something. A few minutes ago, you were lost. Now you're exactly where you wanted to be. All because of a short conversation. That's the power of communication. Not perfect English. Useful English. Real English. Now let's build the complete conversation. Listen carefully. You stop someone on the sidewalk. "Excuse me." The person turns around. "Could you help me?" "Sure. I'm looking for a bookstore." The stranger smiles. "You're almost there. Go straight for 2 blocks and turn left." You listen carefully. Then say, "Sorry. Could you repeat that?" The stranger repeats the directions. This time you understand. "Got it." The stranger smiles. You answer, "Thanks. I appreciate it." A few minutes later, you see the bookstore. There it is. Can you hear how natural that sounds? This is exactly the type of English people use every day. Not complicated. Not formal. Practical. Useful. Real? Take a moment now. Imagine you're visiting a new city. Maybe in another country. Maybe in another part of your own country. Your phone battery dies. You need directions. What phrase would you use first? Maybe. "Excuse me." Maybe. "Could you help me?" Maybe. "I'm looking for." Choose one. Say it quietly. Excellent. You're practicing something important. Confidence. Because confidence doesn't come from knowing every word. Confidence comes from knowing enough words to keep moving forward. And that's exactly what these phrases do. Let's finish with a shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. "Excuse me." "Could you help me?" "I'm looking for." "You're almost there." "Sorry. Could you repeat that?" "Got it. I appreciate it." "There it is." Again. "Excuse me. Could you help me?" "I'm looking for." "You're almost there." "Sorry. Could you repeat that?" "Got it. I appreciate it." "There it is." Excellent. Notice how practical these phrases are. You can use them tomorrow. You can use them while traveling. You can use them at work. You can use them almost anywhere. The afternoon continues. You leave the bookstore and begin walking back toward the office. The city feels familiar again. Everything is going smoothly. Until your phone suddenly vibrates. A call is coming in. And the next conversation will introduce another group of English phrases that native speakers use every single day. Especially when technology doesn't cooperate. Let's answer the phone and see who's calling. You leave the bookstore feeling satisfied. The errand is complete. The afternoon sun hangs high above the city. People move through the streets, carrying shopping bags, coffee cups, and briefcases. Everything feels calm again. You begin walking back toward the office. The directions worked perfectly. The problem has been solved. For a moment, the day feels easy, predictable, comfortable. Then, suddenly, your phone vibrates. You reach into your pocket. Someone is calling. You glance at the screen. It's an old friend. Someone you haven't spoken with in a while. You smile and answer, "Hey." And just like that, another everyday English situation begins. Phone conversations. For many English learners, phone calls feel more difficult than face-to-face conversations. When you're talking to someone in person, you can see their face. You can read their expressions. You can understand body language. But on the phone, all you have is the voice. That's why native speakers rely on simple, familiar phrases. The same phrases over and over again. Imagine the call begins. You answer, "Hey." Your friend responds, "Hey. Can you hear me?" Listen carefully. "Can you hear me?" Repeat after me. "Can you hear me?" Again. "Can you hear me?" Now, naturally. "Can you hear me?" Excellent. This phrase is one of the most common phone expressions in English. You'll hear it during business meetings, video calls, phone conversations, online classes, everywhere. Let's practice. Can you hear me? Again. Can you hear me? Excellent. Now imagine you answer, "Yeah. I can hear you." Everything seems fine. For a few seconds, then the signal becomes weak. Your friend's voice suddenly sounds strange. Some words disappear. Some sentences become unclear. You listen carefully, but you only understand half of what they're saying. This is where another extremely common phrase appears. You're breaking up. Listen carefully. You're breaking up. Repeat after me. You're breaking up. Excellent. This phrase has nothing to do with ending a relationship. On the phone, it simply means the connection is bad. The audio is cutting in and out. Let's practice. You're breaking up. Again. You're breaking up. Excellent. Imagine the conversation. Friend. So anyway, I was thinking that maybe we could. The sound becomes unclear. You respond, "Sorry. You're breaking up." Very natural. Very common. Now imagine your friend moves to a different location. The signal improves slightly. They continue speaking. But you still miss part of the conversation. You catch a few words. But not enough. This is where another useful phrase appears. Listen carefully. I didn't catch that. Repeat after me. I didn't catch that. Again. I didn't catch that. Excellent. This phrase is much more natural than simply saying, "I don't understand." Native speakers use it constantly when they miss part of a sentence. Let's practice. I didn't catch that. Again. I didn't catch that. Excellent. Imagine. Your friend says, I said, "I'm visiting next month." You smile. "Oh. Sorry. I didn't catch that." Very natural. Very useful. Now imagine the signal becomes unstable again. You hear static. The conversation becomes difficult. At this point, many native speakers simply say, "Hold on a second. Listen carefully. Hold on a second. Repeat after me. Hold on a second. Again. Hold on a second." Excellent. This phrase is everywhere. Not just on the phone. In meetings, In conversations, at home, at work, whenever you need a moment. Let's practice. Hold on a second. Again. Hold on a second. Excellent. Imagine you're crossing a busy street. Cars are passing. The noise is loud. You say, hold on a second. Then, move somewhere quieter. Very natural. Now imagine the connection becomes even worse. Your friend's voice disappears completely. You try listening. Nothing. The signal is gone. At this point, there is one phrase you'll hear constantly. Let me call you back. Listen carefully. Let me call you back. Repeat after me. Let me call you back. Again. Let me call you back. Excellent. This phrase is incredibly useful, and native speakers use it all the time. Let's practice. Let me call you back. Again. Let me call you back. Excellent. Imagine the conversation. Friend. Hello. You. I can't hear you. Let me call you back. Perfect. Simple. Real. Now imagine a few minutes later. The connection is much better. The phone rings again. You answer. Your friend laughs. Can you hear me now? You smile. Much better. Listen carefully. Much better. Repeat after me. Much better. Again. Much better. Excellent. This phrase appears everywhere in English. After fixing a problem. After improving a situation. After making progress. Much better. Let's practice. How's the connection? Much better. How do you feel? Much better. Excellent. Now that the connection is stable, the conversation becomes more relaxed. Your friend asks, so, how have things been? Listen carefully. How have things been? Repeat after me. How have things been? Again. How have things been? Excellent. This question is incredibly common. It means, how has life been? What's new? How are things going? Now imagine your answer. Maybe work has been busy. Maybe life has been full of responsibilities. A natural response is, things have been pretty busy. Listen carefully. Things have been pretty busy. Repeat after me. Things have been pretty busy. Again. Things have been pretty busy. Excellent. Notice how natural this sounds. Not formal. Not complicated. Just real. Let's practice. How have things been? Things have been pretty busy. Excellent. Now imagine your friend laughs. Same here. Then asks, have you had any time to relax? You think for a moment. And honestly answer, not really. Listen carefully. Not really. Repeat after me. Not really. Again. Not really. Excellent. This tiny phrase appears everywhere. Did you sleep well? Not really. Did you finish everything? Not really. Did you enjoy the movie? Not really. Very common. Very natural. Now imagine your friend starts talking about a new job opportunity. A possible move. A new project. You listen carefully. Then respond. That makes sense. Listen carefully. That makes sense. Repeat after me. That makes sense. Again. That makes sense. Excellent. This phrase is one of the most useful reactions in English. It means, I understand. I see why. Your explanation is logical. Let's practice. That makes sense. Again. That makes sense. Excellent. Now let's build a complete phone conversation. Listen carefully. Phone rings. You answer. Hey. Friend. Hey. Can you hear me? You. Yeah. I can hear you. A few seconds later. You frown. Sorry. You're breaking up. Friend. What? You. I didn't catch that. The signal gets worse. You move toward a quieter area. Hold on a second. A few moments pass. The connection disappears completely. You sigh. Let me call you back. A few minutes later. The phone rings again. You answer. Friend. Can you hear me now? You smile. Much better. Friend. How have things been? You? Honestly, things have been pretty busy. Friend. Have you had any time to relax? You laugh. Not really. Friend. I understand. You. Yeah. Friend explains a new situation. You listen. Then reply. That makes sense. Can you hear how natural that conversation sounds? This is exactly how real phone conversations happen. Short phrases. Simple reactions. Natural English. Take a moment now. Think about the last phone call you had. Who did you talk to? A friend. A coworker. A family member. Which phrase from today's lesson would have been useful? Maybe. Can you hear me? Maybe. You're breaking up. Maybe. I didn't catch that. Maybe. That makes sense. Choose one. Say it quietly. Excellent. You're connecting English to real situations. That's how fluency develops. Not through memorization. Through experience. Let's finish with a shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. Can you hear me? You're breaking up. I didn't catch that. Hold on a second. Let me call you back. Much better. How have things been? Things have been pretty busy. Not really. That makes sense. Again. Can you hear me? You're breaking up. I didn't catch that. Hold on a second. Let me call you back. Much better. How have things been? Things have been pretty busy. Not really. That makes sense. Excellent. These are some of the most practical phone phrases in English. The kind you'll hear every day. The kind you'll actually use. The call eventually comes to an end. You say goodbye. Put your phone back in your pocket. And continue walking toward the office. The afternoon is slowly moving forward. The workday is almost over. But before you head home, there's one more stop to make. A quick visit to a store after work. And there, you'll encounter another set of everyday English phrases that native speakers use whenever they're shopping, comparing options, and making decisions. Let's see what happens next. The phone call comes to an end. You smile as you put your phone back into your pocket. It was nice catching up with an old friend. The conversation reminded you of something important. No matter how busy life becomes, people matter. Connections matter. Conversations matter. As you continue walking, the afternoon slowly begins turning into evening. The sunlight softens. Shadows become longer. The busiest part of the workday is nearly over. People start leaving offices. Coffee shops become quieter. The city changes pace once again. You check the time. There's still a little time before heading home. Then you remember something. You need a few things. Nothing major. Maybe a notebook. Maybe headphones. Maybe a gift. Maybe something you've been meaning to buy for weeks. There's a shopping center just around the corner. You decide to stop by. As the automatic doors open, cool air greets you. People move through the store carrying shopping bags. Soft music plays in the background. Bright lights reflect off clean floors. For many English learners, shopping conversations feel intimidating. But just like coffee shops, airports, and phone calls, shopping English follows familiar patterns. And once you know those patterns, you'll hear them everywhere. Imagine you're walking through the store. You stop in front of a display. A store employee notices you looking at something. They smile and ask, "Can I help you find anything?" Listen carefully. "Can I help you find anything?" Repeat after me. "Can I help you find anything?" Again. "Can I help you find anything?" Excellent. This is one of the most common questions in retail English. And here's a response you'll hear everywhere. "I'm just looking." Listen carefully. "I'm just looking." Repeat after me. "I'm just looking." Again. "I'm just looking." Excellent. This phrase is incredibly useful. It politely tells the employee, "Thank you, but I'm not ready for help yet." Let's practice. "Can I help you find anything?" "I'm just looking." Again. "Can I help you find anything?" "I'm just looking." Perfect. Simple. Natural. Very common. Now imagine, you continue browsing. A few minutes later, something catches your eye. Maybe it's a pair of headphones. Maybe it's a backpack. Maybe it's a jacket. You pick it up and examine it. Then you notice the price tag is missing. You turn toward the employee and ask, "How much is this?" Listen carefully. "How much is this?" Repeat after me. "How much is this?" Again. "How much is this?" Excellent. This phrase is one of the most practical questions in English. Let's practice. "How much is this?" Again. "How much is this?" Excellent. The employee checks the item, then responds, "It's $40. You nod. Not bad. Maybe even better than expected. And naturally you say, "That's a good deal." Listen carefully. "That's a good deal." Repeat after me. "That's a good deal." Again. "That's a good deal." Excellent. Native speakers use this phrase whenever something seems like good value. Not necessarily cheap, just worth the price. Let's practice. "That's a good deal." Again. "That's a good deal." Excellent. Now imagine you're still deciding. You like the item, but you're not completely sure. Maybe you want to compare other options. Maybe you need time to think. This creates another useful phrase. Listen carefully. "I'll think about it." Repeat after me. "I'll think about it." Again. "I'll think about it." Excellent. This phrase appears everywhere. Stores, work, daily life. Anytime you need more time before making a decision. Let's practice. "Do you want to buy it?" "I'll think about it." "Would you like to sign up?" "I'll think about it." Excellent. Notice how polite it sounds. Now imagine you continue walking through the store. You compare a few options. You look at different styles, different colors, different prices. 2-1. As you browse, another customer standing nearby notices the same item. They smile and say, "I've been looking at that too." Listen carefully. "I've been looking at that too." Repeat after me. "I've been looking at that too." Again. "I've been looking at that too." Excellent. The conversation feels casual, friendly, natural. You smile and reply, "Really? What do you think?" The customer shrugs. "It seems pretty good." Listen carefully. "It seems pretty good." Repeat after me. It seems pretty good. Again. It seems pretty good. Excellent. This phrase is incredibly common. Native speakers often say, it seems, when they're expressing an opinion without sounding too certain. Let's practice. It seems pretty good. It seems interesting. It seems useful. Excellent. Now imagine the customer continues. I've heard good things about it. Listen carefully. I've heard good things about it. Repeat after me. I've heard good things about it. Again. I've heard good things about it. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in recommendations, movies, restaurants, products, books, anything. Let's practice. I've heard good things about it. Again. I've heard good things about it. Excellent. Now imagine the conversation ends. You thank the customer, continue shopping, and eventually return to the item. The more you think about it, the more certain you become. You pick it up one final time. Look at the price. Smile. And say, I'll take it. Listen carefully. I'll take it. Repeat after me. I'll take it. Again. I'll take it. Excellent. This phrase is one of the most useful decision-making phrases in English. It communicates confidence. The decision is made. Let's practice. I'll take it. Again. I'll take it. Excellent. Now imagine you walk toward the checkout counter. The cashier greets you warmly. Did you find everything you needed? Listen carefully. Did you find everything you needed? Repeat after me. Did you find everything you needed? Again. Did you find everything you needed? Excellent. Another very common retail phrase. You smile and answer. Yeah. I did. Simple. Friendly. Natural. The cashier scans the item. A few seconds later, they say, your total is $40. You hand over your card. The payment goes through. The cashier places the item into a bag. Then says, here you go. You've heard this phrase before. And once again, it appears in a completely different situation. That's how real English works. The same phrases appear everywhere. You smile and respond. Thank you. Have a good evening. Listen carefully. Have a good evening. Repeat after me. Have a good evening. Again. Have a good evening. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly near the end of the day. Stores, restaurants, hotels, offices, anywhere. Now let's build a complete shopping conversation. Listen carefully. Employee. Can I help you find anything? You? I'm just looking. A few minutes later, you hold up an item. How much is this? Employee. It's $40. You nod. That's a good deal. Employee smiles. You continue browsing. Then say, I'll think about it. Later. You return. Pick up the item. And smile. I'll take it. The cashier scans it. Did you find everything you needed? You. Yeah. I did. The cashier hands you the bag. Here you go. You smile. Thank you. Have a good evening. Can you hear how natural that sounds? Nothing complicated. Nothing difficult. Just real-life English. The kind people use every day. Take a moment now. Imagine you're shopping in English. What phrase would you use first? Maybe. I'm just looking. Maybe. How much is this? Maybe. That's a good deal. Maybe. I'll take it. Choose one. Say it quietly. Excellent. Every time you imagine yourself using English in a real situation, you're building confidence. And confidence creates fluency. Let's finish with a shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. I'm just looking. How much is this? That's a good deal. I'll think about it. It seems pretty good. I've heard good things about it. I'll take it. Did you find everything you needed? Have a good evening. Again. I'm just looking. How much is this? That's a good deal. I'll think about it. It seems pretty good. I've heard good things about it. I'll take it. Did you find everything you needed? Have a good evening. Excellent. The shopping trip is finished. You step outside, carrying a small bag. The evening air feels cooler now. The sky is beginning to change colors. The workday is officially behind you. And as you start walking home, an unexpected encounter is about to lead to another very natural English conversation. A conversation with someone you've never met before. A conversation filled with curiosity, questions, and the simple phrases native speakers use when making new connections. Let's see who you meet next. You leave the store carrying a small shopping bag. The automatic doors close behind you. The evening air feels cooler now. The sky is painted with shades of orange, pink, and blue. The workday is over. People are no longer rushing. The city feels different in the evening. More relaxed. More social. More open. You begin walking toward home. The bag swings gently at your side. Your mind feels lighter than it did this morning. The deadlines are finished. The meetings are over. The emails can wait until tomorrow. For the first time all day, there is nowhere you absolutely need to be. And sometimes, those are the moments when unexpected things happen. As you walk through a small public square, you notice a crowd gathering near a local community event. Nothing huge, just a casual outdoor gathering, a few food stands, some music, people chatting, friends laughing, neighbors catching up. The atmosphere feels welcoming. You slow down for a moment, just curious. Then someone standing nearby smiles and says, "First time here." Listen carefully. First time here. Repeat after me. First time here. Again. First time here. Excellent. Notice how natural this sounds. The full sentence would be, "Is this your first time here?" But native speakers often shorten questions during casual conversations. First time here. First day. Busy day. Long week. Short. Friendly. Natural. Now, imagine your response. You smile and answer. Actually. Yes. Listen carefully. Actually. Yes. Repeat after me. Actually. Yes. Again. Actually. Yes. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in English. It often introduces clarification or a slightly unexpected answer. Let's practice. Have you been here before? Actually. Yes. Do you know the owner? Actually. Yes. Excellent. Now imagine the person smiles. Welcome. You thank them. Then, they introduce themselves. My name's Alex. You smile and respond. Nice to meet you. Listen carefully. Nice to meet you. Repeat after me. Nice to meet you. Again. Nice to meet you. Excellent. This phrase is one of the most important social expressions in English. Simple. Polite. Universal. Let's practice. Nice to meet you. Again. Nice to meet you. Excellent. The other person responds, Nice to meet you too. And just like that, a new conversation begins. Now imagine, Alex asks. So, what do you do? Listen carefully. What do you do? Repeat after me. What do you do? Again. What do you do? Excellent. This is one of the most common questions when meeting someone new. Notice that it doesn't mean, What are you doing right now? It means, What is your job? What kind of work do you do? Let's practice. What do you do? Again. What do you do? Excellent. Imagine you answer. Maybe you're an engineer, a teacher, a designer, a student. The exact answer doesn't matter. What matters is the conversation that follows. Alex smiles and says, That's interesting. Listen carefully. That's interesting. Repeat after me. That's interesting. Again. That's interesting. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in social English. It shows curiosity, engagement, interest, and it helps keep conversations moving. Let's practice. That's interesting. Again. That's interesting. Excellent. Now imagine, Alex continues asking questions. Not because they're being polite. Because they're genuinely curious. The conversation begins flowing naturally. You talk about work, hobbies, travel, life. Then, something surprising happens. You discover that both of you share the same hobby. Maybe hiking. Maybe photography. Maybe learning languages. Maybe traveling. Alex suddenly laughs. No way. Listen carefully. No way. Repeat after me. No way. Again. No way. Excellent. This tiny phrase is everywhere in conversational English. Native speakers use it to express surprise, excitement, disbelief. Let's practice. You visited Japan too. No way. You know that restaurant? No way. You lived there. No way. Excellent. Now imagine both of you are laughing. The conversation suddenly feels easier, more natural, more comfortable. That's one of the beautiful things about meeting new people. Sometimes one small connection changes everything. Alex smiles and says, Tell me more. Listen carefully. Tell me more. Repeat after me. Tell me more. Again. Tell me more. Excellent. This phrase is incredibly useful. It keeps conversations alive. It shows genuine interest. And native speakers use it constantly. Let's practice. Tell me more. Again. Tell me more. Excellent. Now imagine you're describing a trip you took a few years ago. Alex listens carefully. You tell a short story. Then Alex responds. That sounds amazing. Listen carefully. That sounds amazing. Repeat after me. That sounds amazing. Again. That sounds amazing. Excellent. Notice how this connects to patterns you've already learned. That sounds nice. That sounds fun. That sounds perfect. That sounds amazing. The structure stays the same. Only the adjective changes. This is one reason fluency becomes easier over time. You begin recognizing patterns instead of memorizing isolated phrases. Now imagine the conversation continues. The evening becomes darker. Lights begin appearing around the square. People continue chatting. Music plays softly in the background. And the conversation becomes more personal. Alex asks, So, what do you enjoy doing outside of work? You think for a moment. Then answer honestly. Maybe you enjoy reading. Maybe exercising. Maybe spending time with family. Maybe learning English. Whatever your answer is, Alex listens carefully. Then says, "That's good to hear." Listen carefully. "That's good to hear." Repeat after me. "That's good to hear." Again. "That's good to hear." Excellent. This phrase is warm, supportive, positive. Let's practice. "I finally finished the project." That's good to hear. "I had a great weekend." That's good to hear. Excellent. Now imagine a small pause in the conversation. Neither of you feels uncomfortable. The conversation feels easy now. Natural. Then Alex smiles and says, "I'm glad we met." Listen carefully. "I'm glad we met." Repeat after me. "I'm glad we met." Again. "I'm glad we met." Excellent. This phrase creates a strong emotional connection. It communicates appreciation, gratitude, friendliness. Let's practice. "I'm glad we met." Again. "I'm glad we met." Excellent. Now let's build a complete conversation. Listen carefully. Alex. First time here. You. Actually. Yes. Alex. Welcome. You. Thanks. Alex. My name's Alex. You. Nice to meet you. Alex. Nice to meet you too. A few moments later. Alex. So. What do you do? You explain. Alex smiles. That's interesting. The conversation continues. Eventually, you discover a shared hobby. Alex laughs. No way. You laugh too. Alex says, "Tell me more." You share a story. Alex listens carefully. That sounds amazing. Later. Alex asks about your interests. You answer. Alex smiles. That's good to hear. As the evening comes to a close, Alex says, "I'm glad we met." You smile. Me too. Can you hear how natural that conversation sounds? This is social English. The English people use when building friendships. The English people use when meeting new people. Not formal. Not complicated. Just human. Take a moment now. Imagine meeting someone new. Maybe at a conference. Maybe while traveling. Maybe at a community event. Which phrase would you use first? Maybe. Nice to meet you. Maybe. That's interesting. Maybe. Tell me more. Maybe. I'm glad we met. Choose one. Say it quietly. Excellent. Because real fluency isn't only about ordering coffee or solving problems. It's also about connection, relationships, friendships, the ability to start conversations with people you don't know, and that's one of the most valuable communication skills you can develop. Let's finish with a shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. First time here. Actually. Yes. Nice to meet you. What do you do? That's interesting. No way. Tell me more. That sounds amazing. That's good to hear. I'm glad we met. Again. First time here. Actually. Yes. Nice to meet you. What do you do? That's interesting. No way. Tell me more. That sounds amazing. That's good to hear. I'm glad we met. Excellent. These are some of the most useful social phrases in English. The kind you'll hear at events, parties, conferences, and casual conversations everywhere. The evening continues. The event slowly begins winding down. People start saying goodbye. The lights become brighter as the sky grows darker. And just before you leave, someone invites you to join a small group for dinner nearby. A chance to continue the conversation. A chance to hear even more natural English. And a chance to discover some of the storytelling phrases native speakers use when sharing memories, funny experiences, and unforgettable moments. Let's head to dinner and see where the conversation goes next. The event is slowly coming to an end. People begin gathering their belongings. Some exchange phone numbers. Others promise to stay in touch. The conversations that filled the square gradually become quieter. The evening air feels cooler now. Streetlights glow above the sidewalks. The sky has turned dark blue. You were planning to head home. But just as you're about to leave, Alex smiles and says, "A few of us are grabbing dinner nearby. Want to join us?" Listen carefully. Want to join us? Repeat after me. Want to join us? Again. Want to join us? Excellent. This is a very common invitation in English. Simple. Friendly. Natural. You think for a moment, then smile. Sure. A few minutes later, you're walking together toward a small restaurant. The streets are lively. People sit outside cafes. Music drifts from open doors. The city feels warm and welcoming. When you arrive, everyone takes a seat around a large table. Menus are opened. Drinks are ordered. The atmosphere feels relaxed. Nobody is in a hurry. This is one of the most common places for natural English conversations. Because dinner conversations aren't about work. They're about stories, memories, experiences, and connection. As everyone settles in, one person at the table looks at Alex and laughs. Long time no see. Listen carefully. Long time no see. Repeat after me. Long time no see. Again. Long time no see. Excellent. This phrase is incredibly common. Native speakers use it whenever they haven't seen someone for a long period of time. Let's practice. Long time no see. Again. Long time no see. Excellent. Alex laughs and replies, "I know. It's been ages." Listen carefully. It's been ages. Repeat after me. It's been ages. Again. It's been ages. Excellent. You've learned this phrase before. And now it's appearing naturally inside a real conversation. That's exactly how language becomes familiar. The more often you hear phrases in different situations, the easier they become to remember. Now imagine everyone begins talking about old memories. Stories from school. Previous jobs. Past adventures. Someone suddenly says, "Remember that road trip?" The entire table starts laughing. Clearly, everyone remembers. But you don't know the story. Not yet. One person notices your curiosity and smiles. You won't believe this. Listen carefully. You won't believe this. Repeat after me. You won't believe this. Again. You won't believe this. Excellent. This phrase is one of the most common storytelling expressions in English. It immediately creates curiosity. Whenever native speakers use it, people pay attention. Let's practice. You won't believe this. Again. You won't believe this. Excellent. Now imagine the story begins. The group had planned a weekend trip years ago. Everything seemed perfect. The weather forecast looked great. The route was planned. The hotel was booked. Everything was ready. Then, halfway through the trip, someone realized something important. They had forgotten the hotel reservation confirmation. Everyone laughs again. The storyteller shakes their head. What a disaster. Listen carefully. What a disaster. Repeat after me. What a disaster. Again. What a disaster. Excellent. This phrase is often used humorously, not necessarily for serious disasters. Sometimes, for simple mistakes. Let's practice. I spilled coffee on my shirt. What a disaster. I forgot my keys. What a disaster. Excellent. The storyteller continues. For a moment, nobody knew what to do. People were frustrated, confused, a little stressed. Then someone in the group said, "It'll be fine." Listen carefully. It'll be fine. Repeat after me. It'll be fine. Again. It'll be fine. Excellent. This phrase is extremely common. Native speakers use it whenever they want to reassure someone. Let's practice. Don't worry. It'll be fine. The meeting got delayed. It'll be fine. Excellent. As the story continues, everyone listens closely. Eventually, the problem was solved. The hotel found the reservation. Everything worked out. The trip became one of their favorite memories. And that's when another person at the table says, "That reminds me." Listen carefully. That reminds me. Repeat after me. That reminds me. Again. That reminds me. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in conversations. One story triggers another story. One memory leads to another memory. Let's practice. That reminds me. Again. That reminds me. Excellent. Now another person begins telling a story. This one is even funnier. Years ago, during a business trip, they accidentally boarded the wrong train. Instead of heading north, they traveled south. Nearly 2 hours in the wrong direction. The entire table bursts into laughter. Someone shakes their head and says, "No way." Listen carefully. No way. Repeat after me. No way. Again. No way. Excellent. You learned this phrase earlier. And here it appears again. Notice how often the same phrases return. That's one of the secrets of fluent English. The language isn't endless. The same useful expressions appear repeatedly. Now imagine the storyteller laughs. Oh yes. It gets worse. Listen carefully. It gets worse. Repeat after me. It gets worse. Again. It gets worse. Excellent. This phrase creates suspense. It tells listeners, the story isn't finished. There's more coming. Let's practice. It gets worse. Again. It gets worse. Excellent. Everyone leans forward slightly. Now they're fully invested. The storyteller continues. After realizing the mistake, they got off the train, only to discover their phone battery was dead. The table erupts with laughter again. Even they can't stop laughing. Looking back, the experience feels funny now. And that's often how stories work. Difficult moments become funny memories. Now imagine the waiter arrives with food. Plates are placed on the table. The smell is wonderful. Everyone pauses for a moment. Then someone takes a bite and smiles. This is exactly what I needed. Listen carefully. This is exactly what I needed. Repeat after me. This is exactly what I needed. Again. This is exactly what I needed. Excellent. This phrase appears often after a long day. A good meal. A relaxing break. A pleasant surprise. Let's practice. This is exactly what I needed. Again. This is exactly what I needed. Excellent. The dinner continues. Stories flow naturally, from one person to another. Nobody is checking their phone. Nobody is rushing. Everyone is simply enjoying the moment. And that's when someone looks around the table and says, "I'm glad we did this." Listen carefully. I'm glad we did this. Repeat after me. I'm glad we did this. Again. I'm glad we did this. Excellent. This phrase expresses appreciation for a shared experience. Let's practice. I'm glad we did this. Again. I'm glad we did this. Excellent. Now let's build a complete dinner conversation. Listen carefully. Friend. Long time no see. Alex. I know. It's been ages. Another friend laughs. You won't believe this. Everyone looks interested. The story begins. Halfway through, someone says, "What a disaster." Another person smiles. "It'll be fine." The story ends successfully. Then someone says, "That reminds me." A new story begins. The storyteller describes boarding the wrong train. The table laughs. "No way." The storyteller grins. "Oh yes. It gets worse." Everyone listens carefully. Eventually, the story ends. Food arrives. Someone smiles. "This is exactly what I needed." Everyone agrees. As the evening winds down, one friend looks around the table. "I'm glad we did this." The group smiles. "So am I." Can you hear how natural those conversations sound? This is storytelling English. The English people use while sharing memories, building friendships, creating connections. The English of real life. Take a moment now. Think about a funny memory from your own life. Maybe a mistake. Maybe an adventure. Maybe an unexpected experience. Which phrase feels most useful? Maybe. You won't believe this. Maybe. That reminds me. Maybe. No way. Maybe. It gets worse. Choose one. Say it quietly. Excellent. Because stories are one of the most powerful ways to learn a language. Stories create emotion. Emotion creates memory. And memory helps language stay with us. Let's finish with a shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. Long time no see. It's been ages. You won't believe this. What a disaster. It'll be fine. That reminds me. No way. It gets worse. This is exactly what I needed. I'm glad we did this. Again. Long time no see. It's been ages. You won't believe this. What a disaster. It'll be fine. That reminds me. No way. It gets worse. This is exactly what I needed. I'm glad we did this. Excellent. The dinner slowly comes to an end. Plates are cleared away. People begin saying goodbye. The evening has been filled with laughter, stories, and connection. But the day isn't quite over yet. Soon you'll return home. And there, in the quiet comfort of familiar surroundings, you'll experience some of the warmest and most meaningful English conversations of all. The language of family. The language of support. The language people use when they truly care about one another. Let's head home and end the day together. The dinner comes to an end. The plates have been cleared away. The stories have been told. The laughter slowly fades into comfortable silence. Outside the restaurant, the night air feels cool and refreshing. Streetlights illuminate the sidewalks. Cars pass quietly in the distance. One by one. Everyone says goodbye. Take care. See you soon. Let's do this again. You smile as you exchange farewells. The evening has been enjoyable. Unexpectedly enjoyable. What began as a normal workday turned into something much more memorable. A conversation with a stranger, new friendships, shared stories, good food, good company. As you begin walking home, you notice something. You feel lighter. Not because anything extraordinary happened, but because human connection has a way of making ordinary days feel meaningful. The city becomes quieter as you get closer to home. Storefronts begin closing. The sidewalks become less crowded. The pace of life slows. Eventually, you arrive at your front door. You reach into your pocket, find your keys, unlock the door, and step inside. Immediately, something feels different. Home. There is something comforting about returning home after a long day. The familiar sounds, the familiar smells, the familiar people. No matter what happened outside, home often feels like a place where you can finally relax. As you step into the living room, someone looks up and smiles. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe a partner. Maybe a roommate who feels like family. The first question is simple, but you'll hear it everywhere. How was your day? Listen carefully. How was your day? Repeat after me. How was your day? Again. How was your day? Excellent. This is one of the most common questions in English. People ask it every single day. Parents ask children. Partners ask each other. Friends ask friends. Coworkers ask coworkers. How was your day? Simple. Natural. Universal. Now imagine your response. You think about everything that happened. The coffee shop. The office. The phone call. The dinner. The conversations. It would take hours to explain every detail. So you simply smile and say, "It was pretty good." Listen carefully. It was pretty good. Repeat after me. It was pretty good. Again. It was pretty good. Excellent. This response sounds balanced. Positive. Natural. Not too dramatic. Not too detailed. Exactly the kind of answer native speakers often give. Let's practice. How was your day? It was pretty good. Again. How was your day? It was pretty good. Excellent. Now imagine the person smiles. I'm glad to hear that. Listen carefully. I'm glad to hear that. Repeat after me. I'm glad to hear that. Again. I'm glad to hear that. Excellent. You've heard similar phrases before, and now you're hearing them in a family setting. That's important. Because real English moves between different parts of life. The same phrases appear again and again. Now imagine you sit down on the couch, take off your shoes, and finally, relax. The person beside you notices. You look tired. You laugh. A little? Then add. It was a long day. Listen carefully. It was a long day. Repeat after me. It was a long day. Again. It was a long day. Excellent. This phrase appears constantly in everyday conversation. It doesn't necessarily mean the day was bad. Only that it was full. Busy. Demanding. Let's practice. It was a long day. Again. It was a long day. Excellent. The other person nods. Then says, I'm glad you're home. Listen carefully. I'm glad you're home. Repeat after me. I'm glad you're home. Again. I'm glad you're home. Excellent. This phrase carries warmth, comfort, affection. It's simple, but emotionally powerful. Let's practice. I'm glad you're home. Again. I'm glad you're home. Excellent. Notice how different this feels from workplace English, or shopping English, or travel English. This is relationship English, the language people use with those closest to them. Now, imagine dinner has already been prepared. The smell fills the kitchen. Everyone gathers around the table. The atmosphere is calm, relaxed, safe, the kind of environment where people begin sharing more meaningful thoughts. As everyone eats, someone starts talking about a challenge they've been facing. Maybe work, maybe school, maybe a personal goal. They sound frustrated, a little discouraged. You listen carefully. Then say, "Take your time." Listen carefully. Take your time. Repeat after me. Take your time. Again. Take your time. Excellent. This phrase is incredibly supportive. It means, there's no rush. Move at your own pace. Don't pressure yourself. Let's practice. Take your time. Again. Take your time. Excellent. And if you think about it, this phrase applies perfectly to learning English. Take your time. You don't need to know everything today. You don't need perfect pronunciation tomorrow. Progress happens gradually. Take your time. Now imagine the person continues explaining their situation. You listen patiently. Then, respond. You'll figure it out. Listen carefully. You'll figure it out. Repeat after me. You'll figure it out. Again. You'll figure it out. Excellent. This phrase communicates confidence and encouragement. It means, I believe in you. You'll find a solution. You'll be okay. Let's practice. You'll figure it out. Again. You'll figure it out. Excellent. Imagine how comforting it feels to hear those words, especially during difficult moments. Now the conversation continues. The person smiles slightly. They seem less worried. Because sometimes, encouragement matters more than advice. Then another family member joins the conversation. They've been listening quietly. Finally they smile and say, I'm proud of you. Listen carefully. I'm proud of you. Repeat after me. I'm proud of you. Again. I'm proud of you. Excellent. This is one of the most meaningful phrases in English. Simple, direct, powerful. Let's practice. I'm proud of you. Again. I'm proud of you. Excellent. Many people remember hearing those words for years. Because encouragement stays with us long after conversations end. Now imagine a quiet moment follows. Everyone smiles. The room feels peaceful, comfortable. The kind of silence that doesn't feel awkward. Only warm. Someone leans back in their chair and says, Sounds like you had quite a day. Listen carefully. Quite a day. Repeat after me. Quite a day. Again. Quite a day. Excellent. This phrase means a very eventful day. A busy day. A memorable day. Let's practice. Quite a day. Again. Quite a day. Excellent. You laugh, thinking about everything that happened. The coffee shop. The office problem. The directions. The phone call. The shopping trip. Meeting Alex. The dinner. The stories. Yes. It really was quite a day. Now let's build a complete family conversation. Listen carefully. You walk through the door. A family member smiles. How was your day? You. It was pretty good. Family member. I'm glad to hear that. You sit down. They notice your expression. You look tired. You laugh. It was a long day. They smile warmly. I'm glad you're home. Later, during dinner, someone shares a problem. You listen carefully. Then say, take your time. The person continues talking. You nod. You'll figure it out. Another family member smiles. I'm proud of you. The room becomes quiet, comfortable, peaceful. Someone looks around the table. Sounds like everyone had quite a day. Everyone laughs. Can you hear how natural that sounds? This is family English. Not formal English. Not business English. The language of support. The language of encouragement. The language people use when they care about each other. Take a moment now. Think about someone important in your life. Maybe a parent. Maybe a child. Maybe a friend. Maybe a partner. What phrase would you say to them? Maybe. Take your time. Maybe. You'll figure it out. Maybe. I'm proud of you. Maybe. I'm glad you're home. Choose one. Say it quietly. Excellent. Because language is more than vocabulary. Language is connection. And these simple phrases create some of the strongest connections of all. Let's finish with a shadowing exercise. Repeat after me. How was your day? It was pretty good. I'm glad to hear that. It was a long day. I'm glad you're home. Take your time. You'll figure it out. I'm proud of you. Quite a day. Again. How was your day? It was pretty good. I'm glad to hear that. It was a long day. I'm glad you're home. Take your time. You'll figure it out. I'm proud of you. Quite a day. Excellent. The evening continues quietly. The dishes are washed. The conversations grow softer. The lights become dimmer. And as the day slowly comes to an end, you'll soon have a chance to reflect on everything you've learned, everything you've experienced, and everything you've accomplished. Because sometimes, the most important part of learning isn't moving forward. It's taking a moment to recognize how far you've already come. Let's take that moment together in the next part. The evening grows quieter. Dinner is finished. The dishes have been washed. The conversations that filled the house have slowly faded into a peaceful silence. Outside, the city continues moving. Cars pass beneath streetlights. A distant siren echoes somewhere far away. Windows glow in apartment buildings across the street. People are ending their days just as you are. And for the first time since the morning began, there is nothing left to do. No meetings. Errant. No decisions. No deadlines. Just a quiet moment. A moment to sit. A moment to breathe. A moment to reflect. You settle into a comfortable chair. Maybe with a cup of tea. Maybe with a glass of water. Maybe simply enjoying the silence. And as you sit there, something interesting happens. Your mind begins replaying the day. Not every detail. Just moments. Small moments. Meaningful moments. The morning coffee. The conversation at breakfast. The coworker who helped solve a problem. The stranger who gave directions. The phone call with an old friend. The dinner conversation. The laughter. The stories. The encouragement waiting for you when you came home. All those moments. All those conversations. And suddenly, you realize something. Today wasn't really about learning English. At least not in the way most people think about learning English. You didn't spend the day memorizing grammar rules. You didn't spend the day studying complicated vocabulary lists. You didn't spend the day taking tests. Instead, you spent the day living through English. Experiencing English. Using English. And that's an important difference. Because language isn't meant to live inside textbooks. Language is meant to live inside experiences. Think about everything you've practiced today. This morning you woke up tired. You learned how native speakers say, "I'm still waking up." Then you needed coffee. You said, "I could use some coffee." You rushed through the morning. You were running a little late. Already. Before breakfast. You had learned several phrases people use every single day. Then you stepped into the cafe. You ordered naturally. "Could I get?" "I'll take." "That's all for now." Sounds good. Simple phrases. Real phrases. The kind native speakers use without thinking. Then work began. You learned how coworkers make small talk. "Not too bad." "Pretty busy already." "Can't complain." You discovered that real workplace English is often much simpler than learners expect. Then something went wrong. A problem appeared. And instead of panic, you learned calm problem-solving language. Something came up. That's frustrating. We'll figure it out. That's a relief. Notice the pattern. Native speakers don't always try to sound impressive. Often they try to sound calm, helpful, clear. And then, lunch arrived. The day slowed down. People became more relaxed. You learned. Not much. Pretty much. Same old. Same old. Doing my best. Short phrases. Simple phrase. But powerful, because people actually use them. Then came the afternoon. You needed directions. Your phone battery died. A stranger helped you. "Excuse me. Could you help me? I'm looking for." "Got it. There it is." Again. These weren't academic phrases. They were survival phrases. Real-life phrases. Then your friend called. The signal wasn't perfect. You learned. "Can you hear me?" "You're breaking up." "I didn't catch that." "Let me call you back." Every one of those phrases exists because people use them constantly. And then the workday ended. You went shopping. You compared options. Made decisions. Spoke naturally. "I'm just looking." "That's a good deal." "I'll think about it." "I'll take it." More real English. More useful English. More English connected to life. Then came something unexpected. You met someone new. And suddenly, the conversation shifted. "Nice to meet you. What do you do?" "That's interesting. Tell me more." "I'm glad we met." The language of curiosity. The language of connection. The language that creates friendships. Then dinner. Stories. Memories. Laughter. "You won't believe this." "That reminds me." "No way." It gets worse. The language of storytelling. The language that brings people together. And finally, home. The place where conversations become more personal, more meaningful, more honest. "How was your day?" "I'm glad you're home." "Take your time. You'll figure it out." "I'm proud of you." The language of support. The language of family. The language of care. And now, sitting quietly at the end of the day, you begin noticing something important. These phrases no longer feel like random vocabulary. They feel connected. Connected to situations. Connected to people. Connected to memories. And that matters. Because the human brain remembers stories better than lists. It remembers experiences better than definitions. That's one reason why learning English through real situations can feel so powerful. You aren't just memorizing language. You're attaching language to life. Take a slow breath. And think about this. If someone asked you right now, "What did you learn today?" You could list dozens of phrases, but perhaps something more important happened. Perhaps you started seeing English differently. Not as a subject. Not as a challenge. Not as a collection of grammar rules. But as a tool? A tool for ordering coffee. Solving problems. Making friends. Sharing stories. Expressing emotions. Living life. And when English becomes a tool instead of a test, something changes. Fear begins to disappear. Confidence begins to grow. Take another slow breath. Now imagine yourself 6 months from now. Not perfect. Not flawless. But more comfortable. Imagine walking into a cafe and ordering without hesitation. Imagine making small talk at work. Imagine answering the phone confidently. Imagine asking for directions while traveling. Imagine meeting someone new and starting a conversation naturally. Imagine hearing English and understanding more than you do today. Can you see that version of yourself? Good. Because that version doesn't appear overnight. That version is built through small moments. Small improvements. Small repetitions. Exactly like the ones you've practiced today. Many learners think fluency arrives suddenly. One magical day. One magical lesson. One magical breakthrough. But real fluency is quieter than that. Real fluency grows slowly. Almost invisibly. You don't notice it every day. Then one day, something happens. You understand a sentence without translating it. You answer a question automatically. You react naturally. And suddenly, you realize you're improving. You've been improving all along. The progress was happening even when you couldn't see it. Just like exercising. Just like learning an instrument. Just like building any valuable skill. Growth happens gradually. One repetition at a time. One phrase at a time. One conversation at a time. And perhaps that's the most important lesson of all. You don't need to master English tomorrow. You don't need to know every word. You don't need perfect grammar. You only need to continue. Continue listening. Continue practicing. Continue showing up. Continue moving forward. Because every phrase you learn creates another opportunity. Every conversation you have builds confidence. Every day you spend with English makes English feel a little more natural. A little more familiar. A little more like part of your life. Take a moment now. Think about all the phrases you've heard today. Which one feels most useful? Which one feels most natural? Which one can you imagine using tomorrow? Maybe it's can't complain. Maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe tell me more. Maybe I'm glad you're home. Choose one phrase. Just one. Imagine yourself using it tomorrow. That's enough. You don't need to learn everything tonight. You only need one step. One phrase. One moment. One small improvement. And that's exactly how fluency begins. As the night grows quieter and the day slowly settles into memory, there is one final realization waiting for you. Because, after a full day of real conversations, real situations, and real English, something important is beginning to happen. English is no longer just something you study. It's becoming something you use. And in the final part of our journey, we'll bring everything together and discover what that truly means. The house is quiet now. The conversations have ended. The dishes are clean. The lights are softer than before. Outside, the city continues moving through the night. But inside, everything feels peaceful, comfortable, still. The kind of stillness that arrives only at the end of a full day. You sit quietly for a moment, thinking, reflecting, looking back on everything that happened. The morning coffee, The breakfast conversation. The workplace challenges. The lunch break. The stranger who helped you. The phone call. The shopping trip. The new friendship. The dinner stories. The warmth of coming home. Each moment feels small by itself. But together, they tell a story. Not just the story of a day. The story of progress. Because something important happened today. Something easy to miss if you're not paying attention. You didn't just listen to English. You lived through English. And there is a big difference between those two things. Many people spend years studying English. They memorize vocabulary, read grammar explanations, complete exercises, take notes, and all of those things can be useful. But eventually, every learner discovers the same truth. Language is meant to be used. Not collected. Not stored away. Used. Think about a hammer. You can study a hammer. Read about it. Watch videos about it. Memorize facts about it. But until you actually build something with it, you don't truly understand its purpose. Language is the same. English exists so you can communicate. So you can connect. So you can participate in the world around you. And today, that's exactly what you did. You ordered food. Solved problems. Asked questions. Made small talk. Shared experiences. Listened to stories. Offered encouragement. Built connections. Those are not classroom activities. Those are life activities. And English was there for all of them. Take a slow breath. Think about the first phrase you learned today. Maybe it was, "I'm still waking up." At the beginning of the lesson, it was simply another English phrase. Now it belongs to a memory. You can imagine the kitchen, the morning light, the smell of coffee, the feeling of starting the day. That phrase now has a place in your mind. And that's powerful. Because language attached to experiences becomes easier to remember. Then think about, I could use some coffee. You didn't memorize. You experienced it. You felt it. Most people know exactly what that feeling is like. That's why it sticks. And the same thing happened throughout the day. When you learned, we'll figure it out. You weren't learning grammar. You were experiencing a problem being solved. When you learned, tell me more. You weren't learning vocabulary. You were experiencing curiosity. When you learned, I'm glad you're home. You weren't studying English. You were experiencing warmth, connection, belonging. And perhaps that's why some phrases stay with us forever. Not because they're difficult. Not because they're advanced. Because they're meaningful. Take another slow breath. Now imagine something. Imagine that tomorrow morning arrives. The alarm rings. You open your eyes. And without even trying, a phrase appears naturally. I'm still waking up. You smile. Not because it's perfect English. Because it's your English. A phrase you understand. A phrase that belongs to you now. Then you make coffee. I could use some coffee. Later, someone asks how you're doing. Not too bad. A problem appears. We'll figure it out. A friend tells you a story. No way. You come home. Someone asks, how was your day? And you answer naturally. Can you see what's happening? English is becoming part of your daily life. Not through effort alone. Through familiarity. Through repetition. Through use. That's how fluency grows. Not all at once. Little by little. Conversation by conversation. Day by day. Many learners imagine fluency as a destination. A place they'll arrive someday. A finish line. A final achievement. But the truth is a little different. Fluency is not a place. Fluency is a relationship. A relationship with a language. And relationships don't become strong overnight. They become strong through time. Consistency. Shared experiences. The same way friendships grow. The same way trust grows. The same way confidence grows. Every conversation you have with English strengthens that relationship. Every sentence you understand strengthens that relationship. Every phrase you repeat strengthens that relationship. And one day, without realizing exactly when it happened, you'll notice something. English doesn't feel foreign anymore. It feels familiar, comfortable, natural. Not because you learned every word. Because you've spent enough time with the language that it feels like part of your world. Take a moment now. Think about the version of yourself who first started learning English. Maybe years ago. Maybe months ago. Maybe recently. Think about everything that version of you didn't know. Everything that felt confusing. Everything that felt difficult. Now, compare that version of yourself to who you are today. You know more. You understand more. You've come further than you realize. Progress often hides itself. Because it happens gradually. You don't notice every step. But eventually, you look back and see how far you've traveled. Just like today's journey. This morning felt far away. Yet here you are. At the end of the day, after dozens of conversations, dozens of phrases, dozens of experiences, and all of them added something valuable. Not perfection. Progress. And progress is enough. In fact, progress is everything. Because fluency is not built on perfect days. It's built on consistent days. Days when you listen. Days when you practice. Days when you show up. Even when you don't feel motivated. Even when you're tired. Even when improvement feels slow. Those days matter most. Because consistency creates transformation. One phrase at a time. One lesson at a time. One day at a time. Let's pause and repeat a few final thoughts together. Not as language practice. As reminders. Repeat after me. I am improving every day. Again. I am improving every day. English is becoming part of my life. Again. English is becoming part of my life. I don't need perfect English. Again. I don't need perfect English. I need consistent English. Again. I need consistent English. Every conversation helps me grow. Again. Every conversation helps me grow. I can communicate. Again. I can communicate. I can keep improving. Again. I can keep improving. Excellent. Notice how those words feel. Calm. Encouraging. Possible. Because they are. Now think about all the phrases you've learned today. You don't need to remember every single one. You don't need to master everything tonight. Choose one phrase. Just one. The phrase that felt most natural. The phrase you can imagine using tomorrow. Maybe. Can't complain. Maybe. We'll figure it out. Maybe. Tell me more. Maybe. I'm glad you're home. Maybe. Take your time. Choose one. Hold on to it. Use it tomorrow. Then choose another one the next day. And another after that. That's how real fluency is built. Not through giant leaps. Through small steps. Remember that phrase from earlier. One step at a time. That simple phrase may be the most important lesson of the entire day. One step at a time. One conversation at a time. One moment of confidence at a time. One English-speaking version of yourself at a time. Thank you for spending this day with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for practicing. And most importantly, thank you for continuing your journey. Keep showing up. Keep listening. Keep speaking. Keep believing in your progress. Because progress is happening, even when you don't notice it. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll look back and realize something wonderful. The English that once felt difficult has become familiar. The English that once felt intimidating has become comfortable. And the English that once felt like a subject has become part of your life. Until next time, take care of yourself. Keep practicing. Keep moving forward. And remember, one phrase at a time, one conversation at a time, one confident English speaker at a time. Good night.